We want to get to the broader commodities story. I wonder if you have any thoughts on the short-term impact on gasoline prices or read into other energy prices from what we're seeing with that Colonial pipeline. If it reopens quickly, is it a story that kind of goes away from a market's perspective? If it remains sort of out, does that have a prolonged impact on pricing of gasoline, for example?
Hi, Anna. Look, I think it really does depend on timing. If this can be fixed in a couple of days, we might see a few short-term blips in prices, as we've seen in the trade early this morning. If it's prolonged, I think the impact could be much more extreme. And I'd be looking out for things like whether we see consumers actually rush to the tank and try and fill up their tanks. And that sort of thing can perpetuate itself.
Good morning, Fiona. Can I ask a slightly broader question? We've seen this broad commodity strength across assets, and it's been driven by a number of idiosyncratic stories and macro stories. But from here on out, which kind of commodity sector do you think will lead over the summer? Do you think it'll be agricultural commodities, metals? Do you think it'll be energy space? Where's your kind of leaning there?
I think in the agricultural space, it really depends what we see over the next few weeks in terms of supply coming out of South America for the crops and also the start of the new crop season in the US. So that's really dependent much more on the weather over the very short term. And I think in the metals space, we really need to see this continuation of, pre-pandemic levels of consumer confidence, of industrial demand, and most particularly of Chinese buying of things like copper and iron ore.
We were talking to Evie Hambro of BlackRock a little earlier on earlier programming, Fiona, who was giving thoughts on what he thought was going to happen to commodity prices. And he was saying that prices will move substantially above old peaks. So when we think about how far this rally in commodity prices has to go, are there old peaks that you think of as significant? If we take that, we're seeing all-time highs or new highs in some commodities day in, day out, it seems. But what are the sort of levels that you're watching for specifically to be taken out next here on the commodities story?
The recovery we've seen has been quite spectacular. If we think that this time 12 months ago, we were sort of in the aftermath of negative oil prices. So the recovery has been impressive. So far this year, the S&P GSCI is up 27%, which is an amazing start to the year. I think the market needs to look out for new catalysts to keep that momentum going. So I would be actually slightly concerned as we move through the summer months that we need to see this momentum keep going or new peaks may be out of the question.